Hello, I'm Whitney McMahon, and today I'll be discussing Marzano's 9 high-yield teaching strategies. So what are the purposes of teaching strategies, you ask? Well, teachers use research-based teaching strategies to help facilitate student comprehension and learning in the classroom. It is important to note, however, that it is not the teaching strategy itself that determines how effective the strategy is, but rather it is how the teacher utilizes and implements the teaching strategy that determines its effectiveness. We can determine which teaching strategy will be most helpful to our students by its effect size and percentile gain. Simply put, an effect size is the number that indicates how much a teaching strategy method might impact student achievement. And percentile gain translates that effect size into a comparable percentage point for comparing student to peer performance. Since our teaching time is short and we are trying to impart a lot of knowledge to our students, choosing strategies with a larger effect size maximizes our instruction time. A strategy with an effect size of 0.40 or higher are more likely to produce noticeable student growth, and those below 0.40 have less impact. Now, let's take a look at Marzano's 9 high-yield teaching strategies. The first 3 we're going to look at today are conducive to creating an environment for learning. The first teaching strategy we're going to look at today is setting objectives and providing feedback. Students need to know where they are going and what is expected of them academically and behaviorally. We can show students what they need to know and what is expected of them in our classrooms with daily learning goals, reviewing expectations, and doing group work. Feedback is very necessary to let students know if they are meeting the learning objectives. We have to let students know what they are doing right and wrong, otherwise, how are they going to know? Feedback should be immediate, constructive, and specific to the learning objective. This strategy of reinforcing effort and providing recognition shows that when students see how their effort directly affects their achievement, they have growth in their academics. We need to let students know that their efforts will lead to success. We can do that by reinforcing that for every 1 negative comment that they receive, we say 4 positive attributes. And when we need to provide critical feedback, the feedback again should be specific and focus on the student behavior rather than making it personal to the student. We should also recognize and give feedback for perseverance. Perseverance and the ability to keep trying should be viewed as equally important as getting the right answers. The ability to keep trying is an incredible skill that needs to be developed, and students who have this skill tend to be high achievers and build a strong sense of self-confidence in their own abilities. In addition to verbal feedback, we can enforce the strategy by holding high expectations, displaying student work, giving out fist bumps, and also rewards. In cooperative learning, students work together, peer-to-peer, as part of the lesson. Working together not only increases achievement, but students are also building relationships with each other and developing soft skills. Ways to introduce cooperative learning include our learning centers, where learning activities are set up and students work in groups to complete the project. Jigsaw method, where each student is given a part of a topic and then is responsible for teaching it to their peers. And it also includes debates and giving group reports. In this next group of 3 strategies we're going to look at, they help students develop understanding. In this first strategy, questions, cues, and advanced organizers, as teachers we need to routinely pose questions to students. We also need to give them ample wait time to answer those questions and then follow up with more probing questions. Our questions should be centered around the learning objective and not all the extra juicy tidbits of the lesson. With using cues in the classroom, we include implementing things like callbacks, where teachers say a phrase or clap 3 times to get students' attention. Cues are specific to eliciting a predetermined action that you've already taught to your students. And lastly, advanced organizers are used to categorize information for students, and it helps them connect new information with their prior knowledge. Some examples of advanced organizers are using graphic organizers, lesson outlines, KWL charts, skimming text, and story mapping. In non-linguistic representation, we are delivering information in other ways than just talking to our students. We show videos, images, we're creating graphic organizers, and doing physical activities. This helps students process information visually and make connections in order to retain what they have learned. A favorite physical example that we use in the art classroom is we have students create an edible color wheel. Students are given cookies and red, blue, and yellow colored icing, and then they have to mix the different colors to create a color wheel. Not only is it learning, but it's also tasty. Summarizing and note-taking is a powerful teaching strategy with an effect size of 1.0. We cannot assume that students possess these skills to summarize and take notes. We must teach them how to and what to look for when doing these activities. Summarizing and note-taking are skills that are learned and must be practiced in our classrooms. We can utilize this teaching strategy with narrative organizers, journal summaries, outlines, and creating simple reports. The last 3 teaching strategies we're going to look at today are used to help our students extend and apply their knowledge. In homework and practice, there are a few key points to consider. Homework must be learning objective focused and clearly state the expected outcomes. The amount of homework given should be based upon grade level, and feedback should also be given on homework. Students should be given plenty of practice in class with the materials and also in a variety of methods. This can look like assigning regular reading at home, reviewing daily learning at home, reflective journals, and optional extra practice lessons. With identifying similarities and differences, students develop deeper learning and connecting of ideas by comparing and contrasting, and through use of analogies and metaphors. This can be done in a variety of ways, from direct instruction to the use of graphic organizers, thinking models, cause and effect links, compare and contrast organizers, and also oral reading discussions. Due to this high effect size, this strategy should be utilized and implemented as often as possible. In our last teaching strategy of generating and testing hypotheses, students create and test hypotheses through critical thinking and problem solving. Students compare and contrast their background knowledge with their new understandings to create hypotheses, then they test them, and then analyze the results. We are not just giving students the solutions to the questions we're asking, but rather we're asking them to make predictions, compare, and analyze. This helps develop logic. This teaching strategy uses prediction, decision-making, experimenting, and system analysis, and also historical investigation. So while Marzano's teaching strategies describe what teachers can do to improve student achievement, Universal Design for Learning explains how we can use these strategies. UDL is a framework for teaching that meets the diverse learning needs of all students in the classroom. This includes students who are English language learners, students who have diverse backgrounds, and students with disabilities. We build our lessons with the diverse needs of all of our students in mind by using the research-based teaching strategies that allows us many different options in how to instruct, what resources to use, and how we evaluate students' knowledge. In conclusion, by incorporating teaching strategies within the framework of Universal Design for Learning, we are able to maximize our instructional time with our students and not only impart the knowledge they need for class, but also develop the necessary skills and behavioral actions needed to acquire and assimilate the knowledge. Essentially, when used together, we are in the practice of developing the whole student and not just the academic side. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. Thank you and be well.